It's been an honor serving with you all. Autobots, roll out!
Hi, I'm Jack, and welcome back, because today I'm going to give you guys my review for the newest movie in the Transformers franchise, which serves as a sequel to Bumblebee and kicks off a new wave of Transformers movies that I had the chance to go see in theaters recently. Transformers Rise of the Beasts. It once again is directed by Stephen Caple Jr., the director of Creed 2, and it stars Peter Cullen reprising his role as Optimus Prime with some new actors into the franchise like Ron Perlman, Anthony Ramos, Dominque Fishback, John DiMaggio, Pete Davidson, Michelle Yeoh, Peter Dinklage, and many more. And with that said, let's get started. The movie follows Optimus Prime and the Autobots as they take on their biggest challenge yet, when a threat known as Unicron, who is capable of destroying planets, emerges to wipe out the Earth. They team up with the powerful faction of Transformers known as the Maximals to save Earth from the Terracons and Unicron. I'm a pretty casual viewer of the Transformers franchise. I watched some of the cartoon shows as a kid, and I really liked it. And the movies are pretty hit or miss for me. I love Bumblebee with Haley Steinfeld and John Cena. It's my favorite movie in the franchise. And I do like the first Michael Bay Transformers movie, and Dark of the Moon is pretty underrated. But outside of that, I do not care about the other Bay-formers movies, Revenge of the Fallen, Age of Extinction, or The Last Night.
You wretched human!
So I was coming in very optimistic for this movie because it is set in the same continuity as Bumblebee, which is a movie I love, and I like Stephen Caple Jr. with what he did for Creed 2, and I liked what I saw in the trailers, bringing things back to something more classic, making something inspired by Beast Wars. So I was really optimistic for this movie the closer we got to the release date. So now that I had the chance to go see it recently, I really dug it. It's a fun Transformers movie that manages to elevate what we tend to come to expect from these Transformers movies. Starting off with the positives, this movie manages to have a good set of human characters here. Obviously, when it comes to a Transformers movies, we just want to see Transformers fight and be in action. And in this movie, I really like these new human characters we follow with Anthony Ramos as Noah Diaz and Dominque Fishback as Elena. They have a really good dynamic, and they have a good reason to be on the mission with the Autobots to save the world. And I really like the backstories for each of these characters, for how do they end up on this mission and how they discover the Autobots. I really like having these two characters follow along with. They're definitely one of the better human protagonists in these movies, and I really enjoyed them a lot. They have a lot of charisma, personality, and they just are really fun to watch on screen. But I also love the Transformers in this movies, because characters like Optimus Prime, he gets a character arc where he starts out in a different place in this movie than what we traditionally expect from Optimus Prime, and then he goes through this journey throughout the movie. And it's just so satisfying because I love Optimus Prime. He's an amazing character, and I love what this movie does with him. It's one of my favorite uses of Optimus Prime in a Transformers movie. And even these other Transformers, for the most part, had their own personality. Their designs are great. The colors pop. I love what this movie does with Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and even Pete Davidson's Mirage. He's a standout, very lively, funny. I love his dynamic with Noah Diaz. And the Transformers are just really good in this movie. And although the Maximals are in this movie, they're not in it nearly as much, but I do love Ron Perlman's Optimus Primal and Michelle Yeoh's Airazor. They're both very good additions to the movie and to Transformers movies, and I love the dynamic that the Maximals have with the Autobots when they have their scenes with each other. And the Terracons have some neat designs as well, but one of the things I love about this movie in comparison to the Michael Bay Transformers movies, the character designs are just better. They look more like Transformers, but not only that too, the colors pop more, and each of these characters has their own personality to where I can distinguish each of these characters from one another, and I really appreciated that here. And another thing this movie succeeds at is throughout the runtime, it's fun, it's entertaining, it has some really funny moments that manage to hit the landing for me. And although these movies aren't as action-packed to degree of the Michael Bay movies, because Michael Bay has a really unique style of how he films action sequences in terms of the scope. I thought Stephen Caple Jr. did a very good job with the action sequences here, to where I care about these characters in this movie so that when action happens, I am invested and I care for the characters and hope for their safety. And adding to that, it has this nice, fun little presence, and I love the jungle environment we see these characters go to. Just takes this series into new locations we never see them do before. And from beginning to end, it's just fun, entertaining, and it's a very fun and good Transformers movie, and I definitely prefer it over majority of the Michael Bay movies. And another thing I like here is I thought the iconic Transformers lines that we hear them typically say, and even the third act, I thought was awesome. It gives me everything I want in a Transformers movie, with the moments, the events, the action, the characters who are utilized. It is just so awesome to see the Transformers do their thing and see them roll out into action. This movie really highlights a lot of things I like to see from Transformers, and it's definitely one of my favorite new additions to the Transformers franchise. The visual effects here are fantastic. They look very good in this movie, especially the character designs, and even for how they were able to use the visual effects for Unicron and the beams, the explosions when they happen, and even just seeing a lot of these characters in real life environments. I really liked how they brought it to life. I never once got pulled out of the movie because of the way it looks, and I really appreciated it. I thought this movie does a really good job with the visual effects, and although they're not like the Michael Bay Transformers movies with how big and grand the action, the visual effects can get, they're still very good for what this movie had to work with, considering we're now in a different era of Transformers, and the story is a solid one. It's not the best story in a Transformers movie, I do think, in terms of issues. I wanted more of certain characters, like RC's not in it as much as I'd hope. The Maximals aren't in it that much. And I do think the Terracons could have been better villains, because I love Peter Dinklage as Scourge, but they don't do as much in the movie unless when they are needed to be on screen. And I do think there's a lot of moments where they just do exposition dumping, and I do wish some of it could be handled better. But for what this was, I really liked it. It's a breath of fresh air for Transformers, especially following Bumblebee. And from beginning to end, it's a satisfying Transformers experience. And I love what Stephen Caple Jr. was able to do to bring it all to life. And I would love to see him direct a follow-up to this, especially after where this movie ends. So in the end, I'm going to give Transformers Rise of the Beasts a B+. I highly recommend this movie if you're a Transformers fan. Although Bumblebee's still my favorite movie in the Transformers franchise, this is still another good installment. Depending on how you feel about the Michael Bay movies could influence your overall feelings towards this movie. But for me, considering I only really like Bumblebee, Transformers 1, The Transformers the movie, and Dark of the Moon, I really liked Rise of the Beast. It's fun, and it's a very entertaining Transformers movie, and what I come to expect from the Transformers lore, and it even does things with it that I thought are very cool. So if you're a Transformers fan, I definitely recommend you go check this out in theaters, and I would love to see where Transformers goes from here with Stephen Caple Jr. as the director, and so as with what the story at hand was with this. So I really liked it a lot, and I definitely can't wait to see what's next for the Transformers. So yeah, that's my review for Transformers Rise of the Beasts. What are your thoughts on the movie? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. Stay tuned for some upcoming videos I have planned very soon. And don't forget to follow me on social media. My username is down below at the bottom of the screen and in the description below. So please go down while you're at it. And thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button. And stay tuned for more.